What if I told you your garden could heal itself this fall? No fertilizers, no chemicals, just a few handfuls of seeds. Imagine turning dry, cracked soil into rich, living earth full of life by the time spring arrives. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, in this video, I'll show you exactly how to make that happen with 3 powerful fall cover crops that will transform your soil, even if your garden's been struggling all year. Stick around till the end because I'll also share a bonus tip from my own garden that speeds up results even more. Hey there, welcome back to the channel. And every week we explore simple, natural ways to grow a healthier, more profitable garden without relying on chemicals or fancy equipment. If you love gardening that works with nature, make sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell so you never miss our weekly garden lessons and seasonal tips. Here's what we're diving into today. 1. Why fall is the perfect time to plant cover crops. 2. The top 3 crops that will completely change your soil. 3. How and when to plant them for maximum results. And 4. A few bonus secrets from my own backyard experiments. So grab your gardening gloves, let's get into it. Before we get into the 3 crops, let's take a moment to understand why planting in fall is such a game changer for your garden. A cover crop is simply a plant that you grow not to harvest, but to protect and improve your soil. Think of it as a living blanket. It shields your garden from harsh weather, feeds the soil, and prepares it to perform better when spring comes around. You see, when summer crops die back, your soil is left exposed. Rain can wash away nutrients, the sun can dry out what's left, and weeds quickly take over. But when you plant a cover crop in fall, you're giving your soil something to hold on to, roots that keep everything in place, and foliage that blocks erosion and suppresses weeds. These crops don't just sit there, they work all winter long. Their roots dig deep into compacted soil, creating tiny channels that improve drainage and aeration. And as they grow, they pull nutrients up from the deeper layers of the ground. And when they eventually die back, all of that goodness gets recycled right back into your topsoil. Some cover crops, especially legumes like clover or peas, even have a superpower. They capture nitrogen from the air and store it in the soil. That means when you plant your vegetables next spring, they'll already have a natural fertilizer waiting for them. And the benefits don't stop there. Cover crops also attract beneficial insects, pollinators, soil builders, and predators that help keep pests under control. You'll start seeing more ladybugs, bees, and even earthworms working together beneath the surface. I still remember when I first learned this lesson the hard way. A few years ago, my garden beds were dry, cracked, and lifeless. I tried every fertilizer on the shelf, but nothing seemed to help. Then someone suggested planting a simple fall cover crop. I didn't expect much, but by spring, the difference was unbelievable. The soil was darker, softer, and full of worms. My plants grew stronger, and I used half the fertilizer I used the year before. That's when it clicked. Healthy soil starts in the fall. It's not about what you add later, but what you do now to protect and feed the ground beneath your feet. So, with that in mind, let's look at the first cover crop that's perfect for beginners. It's tough, forgiving, and thrives in almost any type of garden. Let's start with one of the toughest and most reliable cover crops you can grow, winter rye. If your soil is hard, compacted, or tired after a long summer season, winter rye is like a deep tissue massage for your garden. It's a hardy grass that doesn't just survive cold weather, it thrives in it. Once it's established, it keeps growing even when most other plants shut down for the season. The magic of winter rye lies underground. Its roots grow long and strong, reaching deep into the soil to break up compacted layers. As it pushes through, it creates little tunnels that improve air circulation and water flow, exactly what your plants need for healthy roots come spring. Above the soil, winter rye creates a thick green carpet that completely blankets the ground. That living cover protects against erosion from wind and rain, locks in moisture, and blocks sunlight so weeds have no chance to sprout. In other words, it keeps your garden protected while nature takes a break. But here's what makes it even better.
All that lush growth you see in fall turns into valuable biomass for your garden later. When you mow or till it in during spring, those leaves and roots break down into rich organic matter that feeds your soil. It's like making your own natural compost right where you need it most. Planting winter rye is straightforward. The best time to sow it is between late September and early November, depending on your climate. You'll want loose, well-drained soil. It doesn't need to be perfect, but it helps to rake off debris and lightly loosen the top few inches. Scatter the seeds evenly across the bed, about 2 pounds per 1,000 square feet, and cover them with roughly ½ an inch of soil. Water gently after planting to help the seeds settle in, then let nature do the rest. Within a week or two, you'll see fine green shoots pushing through the ground. Once it's growing, maintenance is minimal. Rye practically takes care of itself. It doesn't need much water, and it's resistant to most pests and diseases. The main thing is to mow or cut it down before it starts producing seed heads in spring, usually when it reaches about a foot tall. If you wait too long, it can become fibrous and harder to manage. One quick word of caution. Winter rye has a high carbon to nitrogen ratio. That means when you incorporate it into the soil, it takes a little time to break down. To avoid tying up nutrients for your next crops, cut it at least 3 weeks before planting spring vegetables. You can leave the clippings on top as mulch or lightly till them in for faster decomposition.
Watching winter rye work its magic is pretty incredible. You plant it once, leave it through winter, and by spring, your soil is softer, darker, and easier to work with. It's the kind of low-effort, high-reward crop every gardener appreciates. So, if your garden needs a strong protector to rebuild its foundation, winter rye is your go-to. But what if you want a crop that not only protects your soil, but actually feeds it with natural fertilizer? Well, our next cover crop does exactly that, and it's just as beautiful as it is beneficial. Next up is one of the most beautiful and beneficial cover crops you can grow, crimson clover. Picture this. By late winter or early spring, your garden isn't just resting under dull soil, it's covered in a sea of vibrant red blossoms swaying gently in the breeze. Crimson clover doesn't just look stunning, it's quietly transforming your soil beneath the surface. Crimson clover belongs to the legume family, the same family as beans and peas, and that gives it a special ability. Unlike most plants, legumes can pull nitrogen directly from the air and store it in tiny nodules on their roots. When you cut the crop down later, that nitrogen becomes available to your garden soil, giving next season's vegetables a natural boost without the need for synthetic fertilizers. This makes crimson clover a nutrient powerhouse for any gardener who wants to build fertility the natural way. It's especially great for vegetable beds that have been heavily used throughout the summer. Instead of leaving them bare, you can let clover work over winter to replenish what your crops took out. But its benefits go beyond soil nutrients. Those bright red flowers are a magnet for pollinators, bees, butterflies, and beneficial insects. They love them. While it's improving your soil below, it's also supporting your local ecosystem above. The blooms appear in early spring, just when pollinators are hungry and active again, making your garden one of their first stops of the season. Planting crimson clover is simple. The best time to sow is early to mid-fall, while the soil is still warm enough for germination. Scatter the seeds evenly over the bed, about 1/4 inch deep. Not too deep because they need a little light to sprout. It loves full sun and well-drained soil, but it's surprisingly adaptable. Water lightly after planting, and within a week, you'll see a soft green carpet forming. Through the fall and winter, clover quietly strengthens your soil, shielding it from erosion and improving structure with its fine root system. It doesn't need much care. Just keep an eye out for excessive weeds, though its dense growth usually takes care of that on its own. Come spring, you'll know it's doing its job when you see those iconic crimson blooms appear. They're not only beautiful, they signal that it's almost time to return those nutrients to the soil. Before the flowers begin to form mature seed heads, mow or cut the clover down. Leaving it too long can cause it to reseed itself, which might make it harder to manage later. Once cut, let the clover sit on top of the soil for about 2 to 3 weeks to decompose naturally.
This resting period allows the nitrogen it captured to release gradually into the ground. You can also lightly turn it under if you prefer faster results. By the time you're ready to plant your spring vegetables, your soil will be fertile, crumbly, and alive with microbial activity. Here's a quick bonus tip for you. Mix crimson clover with oats when you plant. The oats grow fast and give you quicker soil coverage, while the clover works slowly to build nitrogen. Together, they make a perfect pair for balanced soil health and strong protection through winter. Crimson clover is not just a cover crop. It's a gardener's partner. It builds soil, attracts life, and adds a splash of color when everything else is asleep. But what if you live in an area where winters get really cold and you don't want to worry about cutting or tilling in spring? Then the next cover crop might be exactly what you need, an easy, self-managing blend that takes care of itself. Our final fall cover crop is actually a team effort, a combination of oats and field peas. And if you've ever wanted a simple, low-maintenance option that does all the work for you and still leaves your garden ready for planting in spring, this mix is it. Let's start with the oats. Oats are one of the fastest-growing cover crops you can plant. Within just a couple of weeks, they create a soft, dense mat of green that completely covers the soil. This living blanket helps suppress weeds by blocking sunlight and prevents erosion by anchoring the top layer of soil in place. Their fine, fibrous roots weave through the dirt, loosening compacted areas and improving structure, making it easier for air and water to move freely underground. Now let's talk about the field peas, the perfect partner for oats. As a legume, field peas naturally fix nitrogen from the air, storing it in nodules on their roots. That nitrogen becomes available to your garden when the plants break down, providing a natural fertilizer for your next round of crops. Together, oats and peas form a perfect balance. The oats act as a fast-growing protector, while the peas enrich the soil. One gives structure, the other adds fertility. And because both are cool weather crops, they thrive in cool temperatures without needing much care. One of the biggest reasons gardeners love this mix is how easy it is to manage. You plant it once in the fall, and nature takes care of the rest. As winter arrives and temperatures drop, the cold naturally kills both crops. No mowing, no tilling required. By spring, what's left is a soft layer of dead plant matter that forms an excellent natural mulch. It protects your soil from early season weeds and keeps moisture where your new plants need it most. Planting is easy. Aim to sow the seeds about 6 to 8 weeks before your area's first expected frost. That gives the plants enough time to grow and establish strong roots before winter sets in. For best results, broadcast the seeds evenly over your garden bed, roughly equal parts oats and peas, and lightly rake them in about 1 inch deep. Water gently to settle the soil, and within days you'll start to see thin oat shoots and tender pea tendrils emerging. By mid-fall, your garden will be covered in lush green growth about 6 to 8 inches tall. That's all you need. Once frost hits, the plants will begin to die back naturally. As they break down, they add organic matter to your soil, improving its texture and moisture retention. The decaying roots also leave behind channels that help future crops establish deeper root systems. Another advantage of the oats and peas mix is that it fits perfectly into almost any crop rotation. Because both plants break down quickly, you won't have to delay your spring planting schedule. You can simply rake aside the mulch layer or plant directly into it using a no-till approach. Gardeners who've used this mix often describe it as effortless. It's like giving your soil a nourishing meal and a warm blanket before winter. You don't have to lift a finger once it's planted, and by the time spring arrives, your soil is richer, looser, and full of life. So, if you're looking for a cover crop that does double duty, protecting your garden and fertilizing it naturally, oats and field peas are a match made in heaven. Now that we've explored all 3 of these powerful fall cover crops, let's talk about how to choose the right one for your garden.
Now that we've looked closely at all 3 fall cover crops, Winter Rye, Crimson Clover, and the Oats and Field Peas mix, you might be wondering which one is right for your garden. Let's break it down so you can make the best choice for your soil, your climate, and the time you have available. Think of these 3 crops as tools, each designed to fix a different problem in your garden. If your soil is compacted and water tends to sit on the surface or drain poorly, Winter Rye is the best choice. Its deep, strong roots act like natural tillers, loosening even the heaviest clay and improving structure from the inside out. It's also ideal if you've been battling weeds. Rye grows thick and fast, forming a dense mat that smothers unwanted plants before they can take hold. But if your biggest challenge is soil that's tired or depleted, you'll want to go with crimson clover. Clover's secret weapon is nitrogen. It captures it from the air and stores it underground, giving your soil a nutrient boost that your vegetables will love. Plus, it's a magnet for pollinators. So if you want to support bees and butterflies while improving your soil's health, this is the crop for you. And as a bonus, it adds a splash of beauty with those brilliant red blooms. Now, if you're short on time or just want something that's practically hands-off, you can't go wrong with the Oats Field Peas mix. It's low maintenance, fast growing, and perfect for busy gardeners. Once planted, it takes care of itself and then dies back naturally after winter, leaving behind a soft mulch layer that you can plant right into in spring. It's a great choice for raised beds, no-till gardens, or anyone who wants healthy soil without extra work. To make it even simpler, here's a quick way to decide. If your soil is compacted or heavy, choose rye for structure and weed control. If your soil is depleted or needs fertility, choose clover for nitrogen and pollinators. If you want low maintenance and easy cleanup, go with oats and peas for natural mulch and moisture balance. Of course, you don't have to stick to just one. Many gardeners combine them, for example, rye with clover or oats with peas, to get the benefits of both, strength and nutrition. That's the beauty of cover cropping. It's flexible, forgiving, and you can experiment year after year to find what your garden loves most. Whatever you choose, remember this: the real secret isn't just in what you plant, but when and how you do it. Timing and preparation make all the difference in helping your cover crop succeed and your soil thrive. So, in the next section, let's go step by step through exactly how to prepare your beds, plant your seeds, and get the most out of your fall cover crops. Alright, now that you've chosen your cover crop, let's walk through the exact steps to plant it the right way so you get the best possible results by spring. The first step is preparing your garden bed. Start by clearing away any leftover plants, weeds, or debris from your summer harvest. You don't have to till deeply. In fact, minimal disturbance is better for your soil life. Just loosen the top few inches using a garden fork or rake. This creates the perfect texture for seeds to make good contact with the soil. Next, it's time to sow your seeds. You can use two simple methods: broadcasting or row planting. Broadcasting is the easiest. Simply scatter the seeds evenly across the surface of your bed like you're feeding chickens. Don't worry too much about perfection. Nature doesn't plant in straight lines, and your garden will be just fine with a random spread. Once you've sown the seeds, gently rake them in to cover them with about ½ inch of soil. This keeps them in place and protects them from birds. If you prefer a more organized look, you can plant in shallow rows about 6 inches apart. But for most home gardens, broadcasting works beautifully. After planting, water gently, but thoroughly. You don't need to soak the soil, just enough to settle the seeds and encourage germination. For the first week, keep the soil slightly moist until you see small shoots emerging. After that, nature will handle most of the watering, especially if fall rains are on the way. Once your cover crop is established, there's not much to do except watch it grow. You'll start noticing subtle changes in your soil. It will look darker, hold moisture better, and even smell richer. That's the microbes and organic matter coming to life beneath the surface. Now let's talk about termination in spring, which is just gardener speak for how to end the cover crop cycle. You have a few options depending on your gardening style. The first and easiest is mowing. Simply cut the cover crop down once it's about a foot tall or just before it starts forming seeds. Leave the clippings on the surface to act as mulch or rake them into the soil to decompose. If you prefer a no-till approach, you can roll or crimp the plants flat using a rake or a board. This method keeps the soil structure intact while still creating a mulch layer on top. The third method is tilling, which involves lightly turning the crop into the top few inches of soil. This speeds up decomposition, but also disturbs the soil more, so use it only if necessary. After termination, give your soil at least 2 to 3 weeks to rest before planting your spring crops. During that time, the cover crop material will continue breaking down, releasing nutrients, and improving the soil's overall texture. Here's a bonus tip. Right after seeding your cover crop, try watering with compost-tea. It's like giving your soil a probiotic boost, full of beneficial bacteria and fungi that help your cover crop roots establish faster and kickstart microbial life for the season ahead. With these simple steps, your fall cover crop will not only protect your garden over winter, but set the stage for a vibrant, productive spring. Now, let's take it a step further and look at some pro tips and common mistakes gardeners make so you can get maximum payoff from all your hard work next year. Now that you know how to plant and manage your cover crops, let's go over a few pro tips and common mistakes gardeners make so you can avoid setbacks and get the best results possible. First, here are a few expert tips to help your cover crops truly shine. Tip number 1, combine legumes and grasses for synergy. By mixing plants like clover or peas with grains like rye or oats, you create a perfect balance. The legumes fix nitrogen, while the grasses provide structure and protect the soil surface. This combination boosts soil health faster and gives you richer organic matter when it decomposes. Tip number 2, don't overseed. It's tempting to dump a thick handful of seeds across your garden bed, but that can actually hurt root development. Overcrowded plants compete for space and nutrients, leading to weaker growth. A lighter, even spread allows each plant to build a strong root system and do its job properly. Tip number 3, avoid tilling too early in spring. Give your cover crop enough time to break down naturally before planting new vegetables. Tilling too soon can lock up nutrients and leave your soil unbalanced. Wait 2 to 3 weeks after cutting your crop. Your soil microbes need that window to work their magic. Now, let's talk about some of the most common mistakes gardeners make with fall cover crops and how to fix them. Mistake number 1, planting too late into frost season. Cover crops need a few weeks of mild weather to establish strong roots before winter sets in. If you wait until the ground is already cold or frozen, the seeds won't germinate properly. Always check your local frost date and plant at least 6 to 8 weeks before it. Mistake number 2, neglecting to terminate the cover crop before it produces seeds. Once these plants go to seed, they can become difficult to control and might pop up where you don't want them later in the season. Cut them down when they're lush and green before they start flowering heavily. Mistake number 3, not adjusting for your climate zone. Every region has its quirks. Some winters are mild and wet, others are dry and harsh. If you're in a warmer climate, you might need to plant earlier in fall to avoid heat stress. If you're in a colder region, choose hardy varieties like rye that can handle frost. A little timing adjustment can make a huge difference in success. I learned that lesson firsthand. My first attempt at planting rye failed because I sowed the seeds too late. By the time they sprouted, a cold snap hit and froze everything solid. But the following year, I started 3 weeks earlier, and the results were night and day. The rye took off, grew thick, and by spring, my soil had completely transformed. Sometimes it's not about doing more, it's just about doing it on time. So, if you plan, plant, and manage carefully, your cover crops will reward you with healthier, more productive soil than ever before. Now, let's wrap up with a quick summary and your next steps. All right, let's quickly recap what we've covered in this video, because by now you should have everything you need to completely transform your garden soil before spring. First, we learned why fall cover crops matter. They protect your soil, prevent erosion, boost fertility, and attract beneficial life even while your garden rests. Then we explored our 3 powerhouse crops. Winter Rye, the workhorse that breaks compacted soil and keeps weeds away. Crimson Clover, the nutrient builder that fixes nitrogen and brings beauty to your garden. And Oats and Field Peas, the easygoing combo that protects your soil, feeds it naturally, and dies back on its own, leaving a ready-to-plant mulch layer for spring. Remember, the best choice depends on your garden's needs. Rye for structure, clover for fertility, oats and peas for low maintenance. So, here's your action step. Before your first frost, pick one of these cover crops and plant a small section of your garden. You'll be amazed by the difference come spring. I'd love to know, which one are you planning to try this season? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one, and your experiences might just help another gardener watching this video. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel reach more gardeners like you. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because next week we'll be diving into something exciting: how to turn your cover crops into garden gold through composting and mulching. You can also check out the 2 videos on your screen right now, one on natural soil improvement methods and another on building compost that actually works. Thank you for watching, and remember, every great spring garden starts with what you plant in the fall. I'll see you in the next video.